Welcome, welcome. We have another episode of The Weird Way, and I feel like I welcome this podcast the same way each and every time, which is kind of funny. It's kind of routine, and that's just part of life. So, as always, I want to share with what I'll be going into today, and it's a topic I didn't really think I would be speaking to on here, and this is also a topic that's been a recurring theme for me in my own life because if you've listened to this podcast, you've probably got the idea that I am someone who is quite reflective and someone who likes to inquire about themselves. And I want to speak to this and the ways that this can become actually toxic because for many people on the spiritual path or the personal development path, we learn that we can reflect on who we are and start to unpack our unconscious beliefs, our patterns, our behaviors. And this is a really, really, really good thing. And I recommend that everyone does this. And what can happen, however, is a pathologizing of life and a disconnect from being in life because now everything needs to be thought about of what is the greater meaning to this. And this is something I've done in myself of really beginning to be like, oh, what does this mean? Or what is the meaning of this? Rather than actually being in an experience. And what I find this is a way to dissociate from life. And I'm talking to myself here and I'm talking to others that when we are analyzing something, it is often a safety mechanism to keep us separate from being fully in life because what people have learned and what I learned was that through analyzing a situation, I could then gain a sense of control. If I could control a situation, I was able to be safe. Now, this was something I learned from childhood in the sense that I learned, how to pay attention to other people's moods, their feelings, and the environment, and analyze this in an unconscious manner. At that time, it was unconscious to determine how I could be in the space without causing further conflict and also de-escalate any conflict that may have been in the space. Now, there's a saying that our greatest gifts grow in the gardens of our wounds. So for me, this has been one of my greatest skills, my ability to see myself and also see others because of this, because I'm aware of a lot of the unconscious patterns that can occur within my own life. Now, for me, the purpose of life isn't to analyze and to be in the analysis of life all the time. And I've been caught in that where I'm in stories of my mind and I'm like, oh, what does this mean? What does that mean? And sometimes that is really fun. Like I love waking up in the morning and looking at my dreams and being like, oh, what did that mean? What could that possibly mean? And if you not don't know this yet, I absolutely love dreams. I analyze dreams often, and they're more in the past. I would be in deeper stages of it, but that's something I love to do and just understanding what messages are coming through. But then what can happen is a person can continue to analyze themselves all the time. And this is something I did earlier on my path. It was like, oh, what does this mean? Oh, why did I do that? What did I do that? And there was this paralysis that would occur from me analyzing everything. And in this, there was a sense of distrust and disconnect from my base nature because in that I wanted to analyze on an unconscious level to ensure that I was doing the right thing or that I was doing what was in alignment with myself. Now, in that I see the problem, now I see the problem easily, is that because I was on that, there was a part of me that didn't trust my nature. I was trying to work it out. I was trying to make it right. I was trying to do the thing so that then I would be the perfect person for everyone else. Now, this relates to people pleasing. This relates to my tendencies to want to make sure, like, I please everyone in the space. That was a past pattern of being like, okay, if I can just do all of this at the same time, then everything will be perfect. And it doesn't work because it kept me separate from life. To do that, I had to be in my mind. And this is what happens for a lot of people when they start learning, these tools. It's like, I can ask myself these internal questions to check in and help relieve myself of the pressure and the anxiety and all of that and feel more connected. But there can be a state where we continue to overanalyze. And this occurs for people when they go to build their dreams, take a step on their path, is that they can be like, is this the right step? I need to think about this. What shadows are playing out? Do I need to check in with this? And there is a space for that, but it can be a freeze in this because we are living in a dualistic universe, which means there is a black and white. And there's also at a higher level non-dual, so unity consciousness. I will acknowledge that, but in the physical reality, there is a yes and a no. And I don't want to say the words right or wrong because I don't actually believe that. I believe all paths lead to the same destination, just maybe not in this lifetime. And so in that, we need to actually consider, okay, what is being asked of me here? And there is a moment where we need to come out of the mind, because the mind is powerful. It is great when it is in service to the soul and a higher purpose. When it begins to drive the ship, it becomes tyrannical. It requires control. And so for these people, for myself, it's about letting go of control and learning to trust life, trust something outside of ourselves and realize, something more than ourselves is guiding us here. Now, this is really, really powerful. And this has been my journey over the last few years of realizing, yes, the analysis is great. It's given me insight. It's allowed me to see a lot of my unconscious patterns and behaviors. But it's not until I'm willing to be in life that I can see even more. Because in that moment where we're analyzing, what we're doing is separating ourselves from life in some way, shape or form. We're not being fully in life. Now that in itself is a protective mechanism, like I said earlier, to protect us from being in life and being in that moment. But also, when someone isn't fully in life, when they're holding on the fence, they actually don't get to fully see their patterns because they haven't leaned all the way in. They're not fully in the arena yet. They're still on the side stand being like, I'm in, I can feel it, but I can analyze it from here. But no, the person isn't actually in the game yet. They haven't been willing to get off the spectator stand and get in. And this allows the person to be like, I know myself. Yeah, I know myself. But do they? Because how do you actually know what your base level instinct is? And most people have a dissociation from their animal self, from their primal, I'm here to kill, fuck, fight and feast. That part of themselves that is instinctual. Now, this is an important part to integrate because a lot of psychology is more of an upward ascent. And I don't believe I've spoke about this too much, but it's very mental. It brings a person up into a higher awareness in one way, shape or form. It moves them up the chakras into their mind and moves them away from their body. Now, this is psychology. It's mental, and this is how a lot of psychologists have operated. Now, there is work coming in that's in the somatic realm, which is powerful because I believe there needs to be the integration of the both for true change to occur. We need to, yes, be in the mental, be in the knowing of, this is why I did that, but also be in the bodily knowing of, that's how that felt and that's what happened. So until a person, say, gets in the arena, it's I know that I've got unworthiness issues, for example. okay, yeah, you can be with them, you can meet them to some degree, but until you're willing to get into the arena, and this was my journey, like all of that came up when I started a business, because it was like, oh, who am I to charge money for what I do? Do I believe in myself enough and to charge what I want? And at the start, no, I wasn't where I am now, and I still have further to go, as does everyone. So before you think I got there, just acknowledge I still see the journey ahead of me. And there's this piece where we need to acknowledge that there's more. And that for me is important to, there's always got to be more. And when a person just sits on the sideline, it's easier to just say, oh, okay, I know all my stuff. I can see all the wounds. But the person isn't actually tending to them yet. They haven't been willing to be like, okay, I need to address this, because at the moment it's just a level of awareness. And what we actually want to do is change the somatic structure of the body so our instinctual nature changes. This is how a person moves beyond a trigger, instead of being like, oh my God, I go into freeze, flight, fawn, or the other one, I can't think right now. They go into, okay, this is occurring, I can breathe through this, I can be with this, and this doesn't mean anything about me, and I can just recognize the other person is in a heightened state. Now, this is really powerful, and in that, they've been able to move that energy and shift it into a different way. Now, this happens within the body. This doesn't happen within the mind. You can analyze that in the moment, but what this would do would disconnect you from presence with the other person and disconnect you from the energy exchange. And any tension or any aliveness would dissipate, because what has happened for that person is that they've been kicked out of their body because their energy was too intense for them. And so they've dissociated, came into their mind, and this is where a person may begin to analyze and be like, okay, I did this, this, and this. And so you may ask, like, what is the solution here? Because like I said, I recommend analysis. I recommend knowing thyself and getting to know thyself. I think it's one of the most important practices we can do. And for me, what has been the biggest thing is firstly having a practice that helps me be present. So for me, meditate. I meditate most days. And then having regular intervals where I reflect, where I tap into myself and I allow myself to see myself. So for me, my favorite process in this is journaling. And this is my time to actually reflect and be like, oh, I felt like that, I did that. And sometimes I still do that in the moment. There's nothing wrong with doing that in the moment. But when I do that too much in the moment, I dissociate from life. I try and work it out. And I try and work out how to do all the things, please everyone, make the right moves, say the right things. And it feels draining, and it also feels dead, because in the mental, which is what I'm talking to about the analysis, is in the mental realms, we're disconnected from a deeper truth that lives within our bodies, and the energetics and the aliveness of what's here and now. Like, you can't fuck in your mind. You won't be a good fuck. You need to be in your body to feel the current that is moving through you. This is the same with conversation, relationship, business. Like, yes, there is a time to reflect and be like, oh, why did I do that? Why was that my instinct? Why did I react in that way? Yes, that's really powerful. But sometimes if we do it in the moment, it is the protective mechanism. And this won't serve. So instead, what I recommend is building up that practice where you take the time and the space to reflect. you have a personal practice which allows you to build that deep intimacy with yourself and get to know yourself. Because if you're in your mind thinking, oh, I did this because of that, and then I did that because of this, and this is why I did that, and I was conditioned to believe this, and I had my unworthiness, so I didn't feel like I could speak in the space, and all of that, it's a lot. And most of it is just noise, because our thoughts play out at 100 miles an hour, and there is so much noise all the time. And it actually requires sitting beneath that and taking some time and being like, cool, yes, that was true. And what is more? Is there a deeper level to this? Because most of it is, like I talked about in the last episode, following the thread deeper into ourselves, where it's like, oh, there is something here that I need to meet beneath the surface. And this is where we need to bring our awareness. And we can't, most of the time we can't do that in the moment. And there's some beautiful practices that can help us dissolve it, because in a way what happens in the moments where we come up into our head, there was a movement of energy. If we think of the body in an energetic system, and think of yourself as a channel or a pipe, and now something occurred that created a blockage within that pipe. And now that blockage you held onto through your mind and been like, oh, I need to analyze this because something occurred that probably you didn't like. So this for me is what happens. I don't like something. Oh, I need to analyze this to fix it. And if I can fix it, then it won't happen and I can come out of my mind. No, this isn't what yes, sometimes, yes, but it's not actually about that. Instead, the practice is to allow that energy to move through the body of like, oh, I didn't like that. Oh, that felt off for me. And to acknowledge this deeper truth that is alive in the moment. And when we can do that, instead of grabbing onto that blockage within the pipe, it allows it to flow. So it might be an argument with a partner and it's like, oh, I'm triggered. And then we breathe into it and it allows it to move through the body. And we can come back to that connection. Now, after this, there may be a space where it's like, oh, I want to know why that happened and was there a deeper reason so I can know myself and I can know my partner? Yeah, that's beautiful. That is powerful, and that is lovely to have that devotion to that type of work. But if it happens in the moment, there's just got to be disconnect. And this is the same with anything. If it's like, okay, so I'll use an example for myself. When I started my business, some of the things I was doing was messaging people, and I had a lot of resistance to build a relationship. I was like, I'm a stranger on the internet and I'm messaging you. And I was like, I don't want to do that because it's scary. Now, I've done much about this where I've unpacked this, I've sat with that feeling, I've sat with like the discomfort of maybe they won't like me, maybe they'll think I'm a creep, maybe all of these things. And that's part of the process. But there's a point where it just needs to be done, where it's just like, okay, I'm just going to do this thing even though I don't like it. Now, I've sat and I've analyzed that. Yes, at various times I'm like, oh, why don't I? What's the belief? What's the all of that? And that's helped. And the only way through it has been to do the thing that I haven't liked to do. Now, this can go against a lot of what spiritual teachers may say of, I only do it when it feels good. Resistance often doesn't feel good. If anyone's been to the gym, they know sometimes you're working your fucking ass off. And in the end, it feels good because you got through it. But in the moment, it can be like, ooh, and you learn to love that. Now, there is a difference in like pushing and like hustle, push, and leaning into the resistance and doing what is required. And like the check-in is if this is in alignment with your vision and you know your why, like that's a basic test of like, oh, why am I doing this? What is the highest purpose? Oh, I want to serve people. I want to connect to build relationships. I want to help others. Like, cool, that's in alignment. Do the thing. Oh, no, I'm doing this because I feel like, I'm in scarcity, I need to make the money now, and if I don't, it's all go to end. That's probably not a good space to operate from. And so the check-in is important because in that example I was just using, if I stopped every time and analysed it and tried to like figure it out in my mind, I would still be there. Instead, the practice is actually to breathe into it. Be like, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Yeah. Okay, I don't need to fix this. And like to notice a fixer mentality in yourself is one of the most powerful things, because our conditioned society has wanted us to fix. It's like, okay, I'm going to create a society that is completely safe. No one dies. Death isn't a thing, so we can pretend that death isn't a thing. Like that's some of the cultural conditioning that's beneath a lot of it. So afraid to die that we're afraid to live. And so there's like this conditioning that if I can just be safe enough, I don't need to face that. And safety is involved with comfort. So if I don't have to feel uncomfortable, I won't have to feel the discomfort. And if I don't have to feel the discomfort, I can stay in the illusion of being safe and never going to die. Like that's basically it. But if we can welcome in the discomfort of like, okay, I feel uncomfortable right now. And this is okay. It's okay to feel uncomfortable right now. It's okay my voice is shaken. It's okay that my heart is beating 1,000,000 miles an hour. Like if we can come to that point, that's when we actually find freedom, when we find our power, because there's our desires. There's like there where we're meeting ourselves on a deeper level. And so to just be with that instead of trying to pathologize it and fix it through analysis allows a person to be in life. And for me, the biggest reason of this work is to be in life, to like be connected to each moment, to be so in it. My emotions are moving through me. I am alive. I am passionate. I am here. I'm allowing myself to be here. And I'm not afraid to make noise. I'm not afraid to say what I want to speak. And I'm not afraid to yell, scream, shout, like laugh, and allow all of my expression in life. Because for me, that is the purpose. It's not to ascend so I'm above all of this. It's to be so deeply in it. That is all there is. And that for me is the path I'm on, to just be in this world where this is all there is, where I can dissolve into the moment. My identity and all that I know can just be as it is. And I don't need to be that person who thinks they're that, but I can just be here. And too often, pathologizing and trying to think it through, it has its place, but it can be a problem just as much as any other addiction and coping mechanism. And so instead, like creating the time and space to give our mind that capacity, if you're looking to know yourself, actually being like, I have the space where I reflect, I go into myself, because this is important and it will allow yourself to see who you are. And then learning to be in the process of life, and not the process of life, but in life, like in it right now, because that's what we're actually seeking. All the things of feeling like we need more, we can fill it with money, material, like people, like all of that is because we're not in life. Because when we're in life completely, we are filled by her. She flows through us. We feel her energy in us completely. And that is what she asks from us. She asks that we are so present with every subtle layer, every sound, every word that moves through us, that everything else dissolves. She asks that you allow the emotion, the passion, the fear, the love, the hate, the anger to move through, so you become a clear channel, because she wants you in it. She wants you to be squirming in ecstasy of the thought of being alive, and just being so in it that you let go of the fear, the judgment, the ways that you would keep yourself out from this singular moment. This is what she asked. She's like, can you be with me? Will you be with me now? And this is what she longs, not for us to disconnect and rob ourselves of the life by being like, oh, I did this because I had the childhood wound, and I did this because my parents didn't tell me I was loved. Yes, that's part of it, but it may be your story, but you are here now. And she says, can you surrender that? Can you feel that? Are you willing to let that go so that you can be here? Because here is all there ever is, and it sounds like a cliche, but when you feel that singular moment, that everything else dissolves on a beautiful sunset over the mountains, when you're in that love and embrace with your partner and your world melts, when you're in that ecstasy of dance, when you're surrounded by friends, laughter, when you're cracked raw by grief, when you have them moments, you realize that life will fill you if you just open to her, if you let her into your soul, into your being. And this is the very essence of her. So can you let go of the need to know, the need to control, and to surrender to her ecstasy that is offered, to surrender to the moment where she says, hey, it's okay. I have you. You can trust in me. Because under it all, we feel that disconnect of trust, where we've learnt that it's not safe to trust life, whether it was from our parents abandoning, from someone yelling, whatever it was the original wound, the remembrance is that we can trust that we're held here upon this planet and that something greater is guiding us. It doesn't matter what you believe, if it's God, Spirit, Pachamama, Gaia, Sophia, Jesus, God, like something more. And each one asks that you trust. And there is a place for the pathologizing. There is a place to analyze. And it's a moment where you can be present with it, where you can be present with yourself, where you can hold that sacred flame that you tend and say, hey, I'm here to see myself now. Reveal yourself to me and let me see who I am. Because only I need to see that. I don't need to share that to the world. I can share through my expression, through my realness, through my vulnerability, through my openness, through my heart. And it asks us, are we willing? Are we willing to cast off the fear that would hold us back? Cast off the fear that we need to be perfect, that we need to be the good guys, the good girls, the ones who do everything right. And wouldn't we cast it all away to just be us? Because this is what she truly asks. And this is my prayer, this is my hope, this is my longing, that each of us remember that that is possible. That regardless of what you do, of who you are, of where you are, you can be in yourself. You can be in this moment. There doesn't need to be anything else. You can feel the ecstasy of life flow through you, and you can give over to her. You can be a lover of life, a poet of words, a man, a woman, whatever you are. You can be you, and you can be in life, and you can trust in life. So let go of the analysis, the over-analysis, the over many stories that keep you in your mind disconnected from this beauty of this land, of this moment. And see right now, could you lose yourself to this moment? This is your invitation. This is Dean Bentley signing out. This was the weird way.